Well, hello, how are we? Welcome. Kerry Waring here, and for those of you that don't know me, I'm a psychic medium investigator, really passionate about serving mediums to strengthen and expand their connection to spirit so that they can enhance their readings and be the confident and successful mediums that we all want to be. So that's what my passionate work is about. And today is Psychic Catch-Up Day. And I'm here with you wanting to today talk a little bit about trusting our psychic abilities and how we can do that a little better, I guess. So thank you for joining me. If you're here watching, pop a hello in the comments. Let me know where you're from. And of course, if you do have any questions about today's topic, about trusting your own psychic abilities, your mediumship, or anything along those lines, then don't be shy. That's what we're here for. So, super excited today. I've been having some downloads and some ideas, some fresh ideas that are sort of really revitalizing my work and my teaching plans, I guess. So I'm super excited about that. And when I think about it, I'm pretty sure that in Sunday's pick a card for the week, that there was cards in there about watching for ideas, inspirations leading you forward. So I just thought I'd mention that reminder. And I know for me, yesterday I made a small decision to include workbooks with future online programs that I've got in the pipeline, basically. And thinking about that they would create more fun around the program for you, that I do love working with a workbook myself. I'm always in my journal, so I had that thought yesterday. And then this morning, I've actually had some downloads about where they could come into play a little more, even into their own, and even instead of even just waiting for a program which takes a fair bit of work, I've actually got a couple that I can hopefully get together really quickly. Oh, thank you, Diana. Thanks for joining me. Great that you're listening, and thanks for being here with me. And yeah, so I just wanted to share that excitement with you, basically. But as I said at the beginning, we're here to talk about trusting your psychic abilities. And now I guess one of the things is that it's actually really common for me to come across people that don't trust their intuition or their guidance source, or don't trust their psychic abilities. And one, yeah, sure, it comes from practice, but that really is a reflection of the fact that we actually lack trust in ourselves. You might think oftentimes when people step into studying mediumship, it's not that they don't trust spirit. It's not that they don't trust that spirit is standing there giving them the information. Where the lack of trust comes in is that, have we received the information correctly? Do we understand it correctly? It's all about our part in the equation, So, and on a bigger scale, it does indicate a lack of trust in our own self. And that would be, while that's certainly playing out in your mediumship, in your psychic abilities, your intuition, it would have big impacts in other areas of life too. Whether you actually have confidence and trust yourself in making life decisions, that you can get life happening in the way that you want, that you're going about life in a way that feels good to you, and that you trust yourself on a day-to-day basis. It all sort of goes hand in hand, really. So one of the things, how many times have you said to yourself, or you've heard from someone that, they wish they had listened to their intuition, whether it's been you had met someone, you didn't get a good feel about them, but you engaged in that relationship anyway, and it sort of came back to bite you at some point. There's those sort of experiences. There's the experiences as in, even if you're sitting and doing a reading for someone, it can be not trusting in that process will create a block in that whole process. And I know for me, even 20 years down the track, there are times when I don't fully understand the message. And this even happened just on the weekend, so I don't fully understand the message. So I just generally say to my recipient or recipients that, hey, just bear with me. I don't fully understand this picture. Don't know where we're going with it, but I need to talk about it. So if I talk about the process, I talk about what I'm seeing as I'm talking, it opens the flow, and then the understanding generally drops in. So one of the things that I would certainly say to you is to acknowledge. That's, for me, acknowledgement of our truth, no matter the situation. No matter the situation, acknowledgement of our truth, acknowledgement of where we're at, So it's just a matter of just being honest with yourself, being honest that, yes, you are doubting yourself, being honest that you're not trusting this message. That kind of honesty doesn't hold up the block. And it gives then Spirit the opportunity to work with you more. They might give you the message in a different way. They might give you the message again, with greater clarity even, because you've opened up that energy. So acknowledgement is key. And I know for me, on a day-to-day basis, that's what my journal does for me. I acknowledge in there, my truth, how I'm feeling, whether I'm feeling shitty, whether I'm not confident, whether I'm nervous. Back in the early days, I used to do a lot of going over my readings, my platforms, just overanalyzing, of course. But in that process, I actually learned a lot. Thanks, Gemma. I actually learn a lot. So it's really that acknowledgement of being in your truth with it all is a big thing. And that's just not about your psychic abilities either. That's actually about anything in life, whether we're manifesting our goals and dreams, whether we're communicating and with others in our relationships. Acknowledgement is a big freeing practice, just being in your truth. So that would be the first thing. The second would be knowing that it's a lack of self-belief in you. And how we counteract that is just daily practices of self-love and building that faith within ourselves. And if you are on this page, I know that means that you would highly likely see yourself as spiritual. So what I would say to you then is work towards knowing and believing that you are spirit. That spirit side of you knows, it has full faith, it has trust. There's that deeper part of you that already trusts in your psychic abilities and your mediumship and your intuition. There is a part of you that already does that. So call it forward, work with it on a daily basis. And just know that, even I'm just sort of being reminded of one of my daily practices is a daily soul conversation. And as you notice, they are posted at 7 o'clock every morning, which is generally about the time that I'm getting out of bed and having my soul conversation. So just one little soul conversation that you can work with would be to just in that space before you get out of bed, how can I trust myself more today? And if you want to make it more specifically about your psychic abilities or your intuition, how can I trust my intuitive self more today? Okay, so Gemma says she has absolute trust in spirit, absolutely, and I did mention that that's not, we know they're standing there giving us the information. We know that they've got their back, and we do fall short in us being able to understand it, to interpret it, that's where we feel like it falls down, or trusting in people to receive the message. Okay, so that where it falls down on our part, as I've explained, is a lack of trust in us and our ability. And baby steps, baby steps, just building, practicing, opening up and expanding intuition in your life, just taking the time to really receive a guidance message, whether it's intuition or whether it is psychic message, to then put that into practice, put that into action and see the results. It's those little baby steps over time that helps us build the confidence. And whether that comes through applying that in your daily life, or whether that comes through the essence of passing messages to other people through readings. Now, confidence in that really does only come from practice and proving to yourself that, you have the goods. And even though I know many people that have done that have been reading for others for years even, and will still doubt. So it's a matter, in that instance, it's a matter of self-love, because no more practice or evidence that you're going to get it right is going to shift or change that, because you've already had that experience. You've already been there, and, so then it's about a lack of self-belief. And self-love daily practices is going to shift that for you. Now, when it comes to other people trusting receiving the message, Gem, there's two things there. I would generally say that if I'm receiving a message for someone, I trust spirit to know that it's okay to pass it on. I certainly still question that and put a feel into it, especially for other people, So an example might be I could be in a group and be getting a message about someone's partner, and maybe it's their family and they're saying certain things, and I can actually feel whether that partner will be skeptical or whether they'll actually be accepting of the message. So I question it to that degree. I also think it comes down to our delivery, and I'm not a subscriber of being a psychic that if people don't resonate well with my readings, or if they walk away and they're not happy, I'm not a psychic that's going to turn around and say, hey, well, they're hearing stuff they don't want to hear. I tend to work a little more from a coaching perspective with my clients, and actually start out my process by going, what do you want to achieve today? And I'm really focused on meeting those needs. So even though the tough stuff comes through, and sometimes it is stuff that they don't want to hear, we actually talk about that. So, and I think if I did have experiences where it was where that was regular, or where people weren't okay with receiving the message, again, that would be my law of attraction point, and I would be looking at that, and probably I would be questioning why that's a pattern, why that's happening, and underlying, I would say that would come back to the fact that the trust is not there. So you then attract that experience to validate that that belief that's sitting there, you know. So, and I know, Jem, that you are more than capable of being able to look into that, being able to shift that and change it. So, so just to summarize about trusting our abilities more is, one, that it would know that it actually comes from a lack of self-belief within yourself. Two, acknowledgement is a major key to not creating blocks and freeing that, and just being honest in your truth, no matter where you are on the scale of whether you trust your abilities or not. Because it can keep you flowing. Three, it would be baby steps, you know. Give yourself the time, practice, the ability to build confidence in applying your intuition in your life, in expanding your psychic abilities and moving them forward, and in the essence of reading with other people. But no, if you have had a decent amount of time where you are already working with your psychic abilities and your mediumship, and it's been a few years and you're still struggling with confidence, then know that that's actually a self-worth issue, a self-belief issue, and daily practices of self-love and greater understanding for yourself is what's needed on that level. So just baby steps, really. So, but I know it's one of the biggest things, and I know it is also one of the doubt that a lot of psychic and mediums work through. And kudos to you that you keep showing up, even though that's occurring, you know, so kudos to you for that. So I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you, Jem. If anyone has any questions, and that goes for whether you're here with me right now or whether you actually watch this video as an archive and you have questions coming out of it, please know that, you know, I'm here to answer those questions. I will come back to you, so don't be shy in popping a question in the thread. Hi, Trish, how you going? Thank you for being here. Hi, Susie. That's a shame. I think everyone else must be okay with hearing me. So I don't even know. I might have to answer that later because you can't actually hear me, Susie. So yes, I want to thank you all for being here, and any questions, as I said, about building trust in your psychic abilities, don't be shy. Thanks for joining me, and just note next week I actually have a guest. Yes, Renata Daniel from Newcastle Ghost Tours is actually going to be joining me next Wednesday. We'll have a chat about all things paranormal. So Trish is busy with a 6-month-old. Never thought at this stage you'd be mum again. I think you secretly love it, Trish. But I certainly hope that you are being kind to yourself and taking time for you, for sure. Good. So Susie's got that sorted. Excellent. Good to have you here. So, yeah, so before I pop off, does anyone actually have any questions about where you're at with your psychic abilities, your mediumship development? Does anyone have any questions? Happy to take. Yes, Trish, I don't think I could do it again. That's for sure. I think it would have to be, oh, yes, here, great, give me hugs, give me cuddles, and hand it back, especially when it comes to that nighttime sleeping. Okay, so Gemma's excited to meet Renata. Yes, that's it. Susie wants to know, how do you know it's not your ego? Okay, good question. Okay, so that's a really good question. Now, when it's an intuitive thought, Susie, so when it's an intuitive thought or it's a communication coming in from external energies, you know, energies from other people, from spirit, any of those things, then what happens is there's generally an energy that comes with it. There's a feeling, there's a warmth, a peace, there's there's a connection in the feeling, in the thought, if I can describe it that way. Whereas with your monkey mind and your ego mind type of thing, there's generally not a lot of pleasantness. It's an empty feeling. It's a repetitive pattern that keeps going around. Look for those things. So it's good to question. It really is good to question and feel around the thought. You know, I know for me, my intuitive thoughts are associated with sitting comfortably in my gut, basically. It's like I feel connected in there. And if it's a spirit thought, if it's coming in randomly, I just sort of start questioning it to then take it further. You know, like I'll question, where's it coming from? Who's it coming from? And it's at that point where I sort of start to get male or female connections, and it goes from there. So the big thing to remember is that when it's your ego mind, your monkey mind, there's no, it's an empty feeling. Whereas it's intuitive, it's spirit, there's warmth associated with it. Of course, there is a lot more to go with it when it comes to your ego, as in it will be triggered, it will be responded, but the simple starting point would be that feeling for you. So I hope that helps, Susie. Trish wants to know, what exercises can you do to clear your mind to get in the zone? Certainly a lot of people will use meditation to do that, as I'm sure you know, Trish. Use meditation. I think the thing to remember is that it's like muscle memory. Okay, so it's the kind of thing of like, I know because I've been doing this work for so long, for 20 years, I know I just have to think about the word meditation and I can feel my body and my soul energy starting to respond to that word, and the feeling of meditation comes in. So it's like practice, muscle memory. It sort of starts to, oh, Trish can't meditate. Okay. Well, my prayer work, I don't meditate before I do a reading, but I certainly will say prayer work. And that certainly does, because of the repetitious nature of doing that and my soul knowing what's to come, it's the practice of clearing that mind. Now, Trish, I know you use oils, so I would find an oil that can help you do that. That is your intention is set to clear your mind. And I guess that's where our rituals come in too. Like we tend to find before we do a reading or before we sit in class or before we do some sort of psychic process, we tend to have little rituals, and might have changed over the years. So Trish vacuums, okay? Well, just put the intention in that as you're vacuuming, you're clearing your mind, you know. I know for me, it used to be things like washing my hands, brushing my teeth. I will still, like before I go out to an event, I will still have a shower first and after. It's those little rituals, those little things that we do, you know. So if you're having a reading, doing a reading, it might be, you know, you're preparing the incense, you're setting the room, you're doing all of those things. Each of those little rituals will get you in the zone, helping you clear your mind. And if you're still struggling, if you're still worrying, I would quickly get out the journal and just work through whatever's in your mind. And don't forget to ask Spirit for help. You know, if you're in a particularly vulnerable place and you're struggling and you're worried that your stuff's going to get in the way, then ask Spirit to help you with that, because I've done that in the past. You know, ask Spirit to help. What about building the energy? Again, all your rituals would be preparing, would be doing that. But I'm a bit of a believer these days that I'm not someone that believes that we actually need to necessarily raise our vibration and spirit come down to us. I come from the place I'm naturally spirit, that I am spirit, and therefore my ability to communicate spirit to spirit is natural. It's naturally there. So yes, I need to clear the mind and focus, but I don't necessarily need to step into that big process of building the energy. And that's where I teach from these days too, is I'd rather be teaching people to fully appreciate that they are spirit, that there's no separation between you and the spirits that you are communicating, whether it is someone with body or someone that doesn't have a body. So it takes that, that's just a mindset, a belief that we can operate with that will shift and change it and makes it easier. But know that if you're needing to build the energy, all of those little rituals will do that. You know, so whether while you're vacuuming, if you've got the music on, you're singing and dancing, that'll build the energy for you. So Gemma does active meditation, walks, all of the forms. Yeah, absolutely. And okay, so Trish is physically limited. Okay, so it's a little bit harder for you to get out and do things like walking and big streams of housework. But yeah, just know. And I know that I have other people on my page that also encounter the physical limitations as well. So sure, Trish, thanks. But yeah, everyone is different. Everyone goes about building their getting in the zone, connecting, getting in their zone in different ways. And it's just a matter of finding a way that works for you, I guess, you know, and just know that it can shift and change over the years, but you will find that you'll fall into a some sort of routine or ritual that feels really comfortable for you. It's the kind of thing of, I know that occurred for me without even intentionally thinking about it. So yes, whether it's your singing bowl, your breathing, lots of people will meditate beforehand, all of those things. It's, you know, it's dancing, it's lots of those sort of things that just make you feel good and speak to your soul and get you in a space of, I hear the word purity, you know, so that you are connected to spirit. And when I say that, it means essentially connecting to the spirit within you and just letting go of your day. So, yes, we all have songs, all songs that lift and enhance, and I know it's a good thing. You'll often see at a platform meditation or something that someone is playing music to sort of lift the energy and doing all of that. You know, yeah, there's lots of ways that we use tools like that to get in the zone. I would like people to know, though, that it's a day. It doesn't have to just be before reading to get in the zone. You know, it can be daily practices of what you do daily to connect with the spirit within you and to expand that connection, because essentially the spirit within you is the foundation. It's that part of you that you use to communicate with spirit. So focusing the attention on that relationship, on the relationship of self, and developing that spirit within you, that's your foundation. And then that's where it can become a more natural, easier process, and we don't have to go about all the complications of all of that. So, yes, so thank you. No, thank you for opening up the discussion, Trish. And enjoy your baby, your grandchild. Yeah. And okay, so you used to like vacuum daily? You're welcome. Sorry, do I call you Diamonte? Do I call you Diana? Do I call you Maria? You know, yeah, music is something that does speak to us for sure. So, and I'm glad you're getting loads of information. And by all means, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. That's for sure. That's what we're here for, and that's what Psychic Catch-Up is all about. And Trish, thank you. Thank you for the support. Thanks for being here. I hope you are well, that's for sure. And anyway, I think we should leave it there for now. And by all means, if you, as I said, next week I have Renata Daniel from Newcastle Ghost Tours joining me. So if you have, great, Diana. Okay, good. If you have any questions for Renata, by all means, you know, post them on my page, in the threads for the Psychic Catch-Up links at all. As I said, we'll be discussing all things paranormal, ghost hunting, hauntings, you know, all of those things, understanding how it could be relevant for your mediumship. And so if you have any questions, for Renata and Psychic Catch-Up next week, when you think about them, just pop them on the page somewhere and we'll be sure to delve into those. So have a great week, and God bless. Oh, thanks, Trish. Yes, I'm glad you had the time to connect into. Sounds like you're super busy being the grandma. Well, I hope you're enjoying it, and yeah, God bless. All right, thank you, everyone, and yep, take it easy, and God bless you. Thank you.